Welcome to Canal Chronicles. We just completed the February board meeting. This month at the board meeting, we discussed canal bridges. Seems to be a pretty hot topic this year. As you know, we have several loop bridges across the canal that are starting to see a lot of years, bridges that have been in use for the last 90 years. With that being said, we evaluate those bridges with Platte County, and we're looking at when we need to replace those bridges due to the bridge isn't safe anymore to be still used, or that we're using it for other purposes. Machinery coming across it's too large and the bridge can't hold up to what's being put across it. So one of the topics today was discussing the 400th Avenue Bridge, which is 2 miles upstream from the Monroe Powerhouse. The county would like to replace that bridge, and we're looking at the different funding options that are available for that. As you know, that is probably a pretty expensive project because as we replace canal bridges today, we are no longer allowed to use the steel bridges that we put in back in the 30s. We have to go to a new concrete bridge design that is much more effective for the people in the area who use the bridge, as it'll be a 2-lane bridge and higher capacity, but at the same time, the cost goes straight up. Looking at a cost of bridges that could be somewhere in the $1.2, $1.3 million range. So that becomes a big issue on how we can go ahead and pay for those bridges. There's no decision made at this board meeting. Just basically discuss the prices of the bridge and which bridges are all looking like they're needing replaced over the next 10, 20 years, trying to put them on a list of most important of when each bridge needs to actually be scheduled and when we need to do it. So more of this, we'll talk more about canal bridges in the future as we get there. But at this time, Loop Power and Platte County are trying to team up to tackle this project of canal bridges. Another issue that we discussed in the board meeting today was streetlight rates. We have a list of streetlight rates and what we charge for rental rates out there already. However, we have a new streetlight. It's a 5,000 lumen LED to replace a current sodium metal light that we currently have that's 5,000 lumen. Rate studies were done, and we determined that new light should be $17.51 per month. And the board voted to accept that rate, and we will be updating the streetlight rates in the upcoming days and get that out to everybody in the district so that they can get the proper rates into the system. Another area that we discussed was pole attachment rates. Pole attachments are the fiber optics, the telephone, the cable TV, anything that we attach to the power poles that are not property of Loop Power. As most of you know, and when you look at the power poles, there's a lot of stuff strung on our poles. The original rate that we charged was $8 a pole attachment per year. That $8 is part of an FCC calculation from almost 30 years ago when that was determined. You could either follow the FCC calculation or you could charge a flat rate of $8. At the time, most power companies chose to use the $8 flat rate because it made the most sense. But as we move forward, prices have went up and we have a lot more pole attachments on our poles than what we've ever had before. So we followed the FCC calculation for the pole attachment rate study. At the end of completing that study, we came up with a new price of $16.48 per attachment per year. That is almost 106% increase in price from where we were at. As we discussed that, we realized 106% is an awful high increase. But as we looked at it and reviewed and compared it to other companies, that $16.48 is slightly above the industry median for this area for the state of Nebraska. When we evaluated this, we looked at several power companies to include LES, OPPD, NPPD, Fremont, City of Fremont, City of Hastings, City of Grand Island, Columbus, Cornhusker, and several other power companies as well. And that's where we got our pole attachment rate when we compared it. $16.48 is right about the median of all of those companies. So we can feel pretty secure that that rate is fair and just in comparison with other power companies around us. Another area that we looked at was the APPA 2024 operating ratio study. Every year about this time, we do an operating ratio study. What we do is we compare our company with other companies across the nation that are similar in size in the 20,000 to 50,000 customer ranking. We also compare our company with other power companies that are in the central region, which would mostly be in the Southwest Power Pool region, because it takes into account the central region of the United States. From this, we look at different things from cost per kilowatt hour, revenue per kilowatt hour, hourly wage per worker hour, a lot of different comparisons that we do. At the end of that, a study is released to the power companies, and we do our own analysis from this. From the analysis that we discussed with the board, we looked at how we rate compared to other companies around in both the 20,000 to 50,000 customer ratio for size, as well as the central United States region. And what we found is we're very, very in tune with our price of what our revenue per kilowatt hour and what our cost per goods sold are, and we're very in tune with that price and being in the lowest quartile of the percentage of where we're at, as well as where we're at per customer base and miles served. So one of the areas we looked at was of what we make revenue per mile served and per customer served. And Loop Power is very unique in the sense that we are a municipality-based company, but we also have many miles of line connecting those towns and feed irrigation customers along the way. So with that, our price per mile is somewhat a little bit higher than other companies sized of our size. But at the same time, our price per customer base is still very, very fair. We're still at the median or below the median rate. So with that, at the end of the day, from looking at that 2024 operating ratio study, we feel very good that we're well in tune with what other power companies are charging and also getting back in revenue from goods sold. And we're very competitive to them. So we feel very good about where our cost base is at and that we are definitely competitive in the market for what we're doing. In the board meeting today, we discussed the 2025 safety review. So we looked at 2025 as a whole, and we evaluated things from lost time injuries to personal injuries to vehicle accidents. This year was actually a very good year. 2025 ended very well. We had 0 lost time injuries. We only had 3 vehicle accidents, and we had 9 personal injuries. Out of those, 0 lost time injuries. That was the first time we've received that in over 5 years. That 0 lost time injury is definitely attributed to the people that work here at Loop Power and what we do every day to go home safe and to make sure that the people that work besides us go home safe. The vehicle accidents, if you look at the chart overall, 3 vehicle accidents is pretty well in line with where we should be at. We're slightly above where the best fit line would fit. Technically, we should probably be around 2 accidents or less. But 3 accidents, knowing that most of the accidents were not caused by Loop employees, but caused by other people that ran into our vehicles, that helps us understand better that we're doing the right things, and sometimes things happen. But we need to be diligent in what we do to make sure that we keep reducing this number and do the best job we can to try to reduce these scores to as close to 0 as we can get them. The area of concern for me is the personal injuries. 9 personal injuries, albeit they're very minor, that is on the increase. We went up over the last 2 years, have increased from 5 to 9 personal injuries. As I look at that and I look at the past 20 years of personal injuries, it appears to me like we really should be trending towards 5 personal injuries. That's where the best fit line would fit on the Pareto chart for injuries. In getting to that position, we need help from every Loop employee to be diligent in what we do every day, to look out for those next to us and look out for those newbies, the new people on the crew who just joined our company, making sure that they're safe in what they're doing, and also be looking out for maybe the older employees who have been here for enough years that are getting complacent in what they're doing. And so that we all look out for each other. Let's try to work together to reduce those personal injuries, because unfortunately at the end of the day, 9 people on our team got hurt. That's way higher than what it should be, and we need to work towards reducing that number together. One of the last items I want to talk about is finance for 2025. In the board meeting today, we discussed the 2025 December closing end of year numbers for 2025. We ended slightly on a better tone in 2025 with our revenue slightly in the upward trend over 2024. This is definitely attributed to everything that we do, how we generate power, how we sell power, and also to the customers that we brought online over the past year. More customers increases our revenue. We're selling more kilowatt hours to people, and also companies. Customers like that help us increase our bottom line and help do better for our company overall. So 2025 ended definitely better than 2024 financially. And I wouldn't say that we're out of the hole yet, but we're definitely trending in the right direction. We just need to continue focusing on keeping our budgets tight and making sure that we're doing the right things when we need to be doing them. And starting off in 2026, the results for January show that we're on a positive trend as well. We are definitely moving in the right direction, and we need to continue that focus so that we can keep going through the rest of the year. Now, with that being said, we've had plenty of water up to this point. We've had plenty of generation where, as of today, we're at about 109% of generation over last year. So we're almost double of where we were last year at this time. Things like that all help, but we don't know how summer's going to end. We don't know how the water's going to keep flowing down the river unless we start seeing a lot of precipitation coming down. I would assume that the river is going to start drying up through the spring and into the summer time frame, which could definitely change us some. But as we stay focused on the end goal and doing the right stuff at the right times and always doing the right things, we should keep this moving in the right direction.